Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Casual Conversations. This time with Victor Smith. All right.
There you
So,
go,
Vic, how
you
you
got
doing tonight?
it. Hello, everyone.
How are you doing tonight?
I am doing, I am doing very well. Thank you for asking.
I'm doing good myself. I'm doing great. Other than screwing up the intro and getting tonight at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
It happens. It
Yeah,
happens.
it happens.
And of course, we don't know when the people on YouTube will be watching this, so
Oh, sure. Maybe I should change that from here on out. But alrighty. So, what's it like in your home city of Baltimore?
oh my. Well,
I've heard things and other things and about three other things.
as with every as with every major city, it depends on where you are, how you do in the city. There are suburbs around the city that are very, very good and very, very safe to live.
Of
There
course.
are even some neighborhoods in the city of Baltimore that are safe to live in. And then there's the
Wow,
rest.
really?
Yes, yes, it would shock you, but there are places in Baltimore that are safe to live.
Woo! Can't say the same
Um,
about Detroit, but
I'm sure you could say the same about Detroit if you looked hard enough.
yeah, I'm sure if you looked hard enough, but like Sterling Heights is where it's at.
All right. So what's really curious to me about living in Baltimore is there's just so much history going on. Well, there's Fort McHenry. That is the clear and obvious thing that is of interest through historians, but there's also some wonderful museums. There are two art museums. There is a bastion of culture here. I think the African American, the NAACP original headquarters is located here. There's also sort of where the Japanese, I think the Japanese American thing was also founded here. There's a lot of culture around Baltimore that doesn't really get talked about all that much.
Yeah, mostly when I hear Baltimore, I think crime. So it's good to know that there's other places that aren't, well, crime ridden.
Yes,
And that says a lot more about our society than, you know, a lot of other things do. It's like
it
crime rates in
really
big cities.
does. However, I will grant that Baltimore is probably the murder capital of the country.
Is it? Hold on.
Well, Detroit, I think, is number one or number two, and Chicago and Baltimore. They make up a very consistent top three.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna fact check that because I'm not quite sure. That's a good topic to figure out. Like, no, that's not what I asked for. So,
Sometimes the Google machine can be
2022,
a pain.
it is actually New Orleans.
New Orleans.
New Orleans with the highest homicide rate in the U.S. Let's see. Let's see. What's the stat on that? Come on.
I think you need to get the per capita stat, not the.
Oh, highest homicide rate per capita.
Though I am sort of shocked that New Orleans eclipsed Detroit, Chicago, and Baltimore. I'm
Oh,
very
20, the 20 highest cities is St. Louis, Missouri was 69 out of 100,000. And then Baltimore with just over 50. And then New Orleans is 3. Then Detroit and Cleveland are 4 and 5. So that's not really that surprising. Detroit's
right.
still in the top 5. Let's go, Michigan.
That's not a stat you want to be top five then, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I'm joking. I'm trying to be funny. Yeah, no, that's sad.
Yeah,
You'd expect.
it is very sad. And I spoke with a former NYPD person,
I'm sure that
and
must have
he
been
said, well, former NYPD that moved to Baltimore police, and he
okay.
said at least up there in like Brooklyn where he worked, you had a reason for somebody murdering you. In Baltimore, there's no reason. You just,
You just get shot.
yeah, people just straight up shoot people for almost no rhyme or reason other than I feel like it today.
That's wild.
Well, there is gang activity in Baltimore, but yeah, they're crazy. We can talk about a buddy of mine from high school who was killed um in the city walking his cousin home from a party on 4th of July. He
Oh,
was he was killed. I
just
can't remember if
randomly.
it was 2010 or 2011. I forget which one, but it was one of those 2 years, and we were both in high school together when that happened.
Oh, that's awful, mate.
I've had my fair share of loss in my life, and a
You
ton
see,
of good.
the only relative that I've lost is my grandmother on my dad's side. Came in from Germany just after the Second World War.
I had a heck of a lot more. There was a guy a year above me in high school that just straight up dropped dead at his desk.
Heart attack?
Ooh, I did not get the official cause of death.
That's strange because it's like a high schooler, right? Like, there's no
Yeah,
logical reason
he
that
was
they
an
just dropped
athlete
dead.
too.
Yeah, that's so bizarre.
Yeah, that is very much bizarre. And everybody felt his loss very acutely. And back in the 5th grade, a classmate died in a fire, along with his mom and his brother.
In like seventh grade, there was a girl that got ran over by a car, but that's the only thing that I've experienced in school, for the most part.
Yeah, so you can say that I had plenty of experience with death of classmate or schoolmate.
And
Even
that's
in
like the worst part of that
college,
is because they're all young. They shouldn't be
even
dying.
in college, there was a car accident with a person who went to college at the same time as me. She went home to St. Louis and she was killed by a drunk driver in a car accident.
Gotta love drunk drive.
Yeah, which is why you people need to drive sober or
Or
get
get
pulled over.
pulled over.
Message, not exactly sponsored by, but should be sponsored by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
But yeah, no, that's wild. Like, I was not the biggest sports guy in high school. I was more of the, shall we say, I was a nerd. To put it mildly.
That would be putting it incredibly
Oh yeah,
mildly.
no, for sure, for sure.
I'm a little shocked that you didn't mention your latest EU4 game yet in this call.
I don't. I try to keep that out.
You're right.
Speaking of which, it's Morocco. Anyway,
But
anywho,
what were you gonna say?
so like during my high school, I was in the band, and I played a few instruments.
So was my father.
Oh, what'd he play?
He played clarinet and saxophone.
Oh yeah, same here
And at the
actually.
risk, and I don't want to say what high school he went to and
Oh
what
yeah, no,
he
that you don't have
did
to.
in that high school band, because if I did that, and I said what year he graduated from, it would be easily doxable, and I don't want to dox my father.
Oh sure, of course, I get that. You didn't have to mention him. Nah, like what I did, I basically just stayed in the crowd, but I was, loud like normal at this point. But like, there's just a lot of things that happened that year that I look back at. I'm like, what the heck was I thinking?
Well, you did the most important thing, right? Which is got yourself a girlfriend so you can feel confident and happy about that.
Confident. Don't know it. Anywho, different topic here. I'm trying to figure out. So hard doing this on the fly sometimes, but how, if America were to have, a certain thing happen and like, what would you do to help Baltimore? Like, just
We're
anything
gonna
in general.
like anything in general?
Like, if something really bad happened to the country, how would you help Baltimore?
Simply and easily. I would try to get to try to get the mob to stop shooting each other and panicking
Woo!
and running.
Do you guys have like a mafia problem? Like, is there like a mob problem?
No, there was not a mafia problem in Baltimore. The mob was pretty much always associated with Philadelphia in this region.
Ah,
It wouldn't surprise me if there were some connections in Baltimore, especially when you consider that Nancy Pelosi's father was mayor of Baltimore, and I believe so was her brother, and they were very deeply connected to certain Italian people.
oh boy, here we go. Let's not get into propaganda too here, real quick,
Of course.
because that's a whole nother can of worms that isn't exactly applicable to the title.
I know, but you asked the
I did
question.
make the remark. In all fairness, I
That's
actually
true.
watched the video on Prop 2 last night. Not Proposal 2, but Propaganda 2, the Freemason thing in Italy.
Oh,
Quite interesting. Yeah.
yeah. I never actually watched that. I should probably get on that. So have you watched The Wire at all?
The The Wire.
Yes, The Wire, the television show.
Oh no, I don't watch TV very often.
Oh my. Well, that could have told you a lot about how the city of Baltimore is run right now. Just kidding.
Oh wow.
Actually, no. I'm
Is it
not. I'm
really
not
not
even kidding.
accurate?
It really is accurate.
That's kind of sad.
It is. It is very sad. Like it. And there was pretty much a follow up, which was an actual documentary called "We Own This City" about the gun tracer task force or whatever, and it was really eye opening in terms of how the city of Baltimore handles that sort of gun crime.
Interesting. Like, my quaint little town in the middle of Michigan don't really have no problems other than the occasional crack or meth, but I'm sure Baltimore's got bigger drug problems than I got here.
Well, I think the drugs on the street are basically the same as yours, just put fentanyl in it.
Well, I'm not even sure if there's fentanyl up here. I know in the episode where I interviewed Will, we got into a very big conversation about the fentanyl crisis. But like, yeah, that stuff will screw you up, dude.
It will definitely screw you up, and that even makes, if you don't mind me getting on my soapbox, it makes even the purchase of the more traditional recreational drugs like pot and crack that
Crack.
much more suspect, because
Return to
your
your
dealer, because there's no real legalization of it outside of pot, of course, they can just lace it with fentanyl all they want and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, because it's not legalized, not like regulated at all. Also, did you hear about what British Columbia is doing?
British Columbia, I tend not
They
to
deregul they deregulate. Well, wait, no, I gotta.
decriminalize.
Yeah, decriminalized all drugs, like all the traditional.
Decriminalize all drugs.
Yeah, hold on. I'm fact checking this here just to make sure we can get everybody to know. So yeah, adults in British Columbia are not subject to criminal charges for personal possession of small amounts of certain illegal drugs. My source on that's the government of the government of British Columbia's official website. If I could tell you what it is, it's opioids such as heroin, morphine, fentanyl, crack, meth, and MDMA, for examples.
Okay,
And if
so
they're found with less than 2.5 grams, it's completely legit. Which, you know,
2.5
there are
grams.
some of those which is fair, like pot and almost exclusively pot. But the rest of those are it's a little much there, buddy. But then again, we have to remember what.
All I will say, as the diplomat here, all I will say is you better get your morgues ready.
Yeah, but here's another thing: is we got to remember what coast they're on too.
I am fully aware of what coast they're on.
They're on the same one as California, so I'm not entirely surprised by it. Not that I hate California, I just don't like Texas or California. Both are bad.
That's an interesting perspective.
Texas is too far right, and California is too far left, in my opinion.
That is interesting.
Although, you know what, I will concede that Newsom and Abbott have both done fairly good jobs in office as their respective governors. However, I just don't like the way they're going. Like, they've done a good job. I just don't like what they're doing.
Okay. So, getting back to Maryland politics, we just elected a new governor.
Oh yeah, I think I remember you talking about it during the election season. How's that going?
No comment.
Oh, really? Okay. um, I'm sure you want to make a comment, though.
Um, I believe that there's not enough information to make an objective judgment, but subjectively, in my opinion, no comment.
That's fair. I mean, like, I can completely understand, like, the whole, like, I don't have enough information, because I do that pretty consistently, and then I go fact check it, and then I make my opinion off the facts. For the most part, I will say that there are some days where that does not happen.
Way to do it.
It is ultimately the best way to do it. I agree. Except for those like the fact checkers on like Twitter and YouTube and stuff. Like the other day, I was trying to show my buddy Wendigoon's video on the JFK assassination, and we look at it, and it's clearly a video, and then below it there's a Wikipedia page on the JFK assassination. Like, dude, it's a video
Yeah,
about the JFK assassination.
that is quite the thing that he has going on for his channel.
Yeah, I mean, he really does do that.
Interesting.
I like him though. He seems like he's a good content creator. I'll give him that. Speaking of JFK,
I have not watched any of his videos, so I can't comment.
speaking of JFK, what's your opinion on him?
My
I mean,
opinion on JFK?
Yeah.
I think that he was a milquetoast Catholic who I understand that he had to play the game, so to speak. But but if you're going to be a philanderer. I would rather you not hold the highest office of our country.
Yeah. I mean, again, completely understandable, but I guess we can say Biden's a milquetoast Catholic at best. There are a
Oh,
lot
my
of
opinions
instances
on the president I would not like to reveal on this in this forum. We
that's
have
fair.
done
I
that plenty on the Monarchist Minute podcast.
link in the description.
Yes. Is there anything else you wanted to speak about?
I'm not fairly sure. I was gonna try and see if you had any ideas, but because I
Uh,
actually did not have any ideas.
Very well, then I suppose we can conclude.
Alrighty, you have any closing thoughts, Vic?
Yes, I do. I would like to wish everyone a very pleasant day. If you're watching this on YouTube, the day it goes live, you can join our Discord server for tonight's recording of Monarchist Minute. Link to the Discord server in our description below. And until then, may God bless you. God bless the United States of America.
Alrighty. I believe next week we are either gonna have myself or Ulysses on for interview. It really depends on everybody's scheduling. But without further ado, episode casual conversation over. This was Victor and I Constantine interviewing. Have a pleasant day, y'all.